how can I achieve what this person did, but from another angle?
Yeah.
So you see that I'm getting inspiration from somebody, but I'm now adding my own thought process. My own thought
Yeah.
process is now different. So I'm not looking at it that this thing that this person achieved, how else can I achieve it? What other angle can I go to achieve this? And that's how you just stay fresh. And
Hello, it's another episode of the Dark Room. I was wondering, how much darker can it get in the dark room? I guess we're going to find out by the end of my interview with my guest on this episode today. My guest is a communications lead. She's a creative strategist. She's the communications lead of the Street Church. Phew, that is huge. Yeah, my guest is Aderisola Adeniu.
hi.
Hi, Deri.
Hi, Nidhi.
Welcome on board.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
I must confess that I'm very, very excited about this
Me too, I'm excited.
this episode. Because, okay, let's start with this. I don't know if I've told you before. I once went to cover an event. And when I got there, because I'd been speaking with the client online, we'd been chatting, but we had not met physically until that time. So when we met, my crew members had gotten to the venue before me. The first thing the man said when he saw me was, "Are you the midday? Wait, you are the midday I've been chatting with. You're female." At first I was wondering what's so weird about this midday you're seeing. So I was like, "Oh, you're female and you're this young." So that day I was surprised that, I don't understand. What if I'm female? What if I'm this young? And trust me, that day I had to go the extra mile to show myself
yourself,
approved,
yeah.
really. So what has it been like for you as a female in this industry?
I think for me, first of all, thank you for having me.
You're
Thank you
welcome.
very much. So I think for me, I've learned to lead with my value first. So I don't come on board trying to do male or female or any of that kind of thing. So I just come, I make sure that I'm able to do my work very well. So I'm growing my skill, I'm growing my knowledge, I'm growing and sharpening my expertise. So that anytime I come to any place, anytime I enter any place, I'm leading with my skill, not my gender. So my gender is not on the table. It's not a matter of is she male or female, can a male do anything? So because when it comes to creativity, so there are some areas of work where a male might do it better than a female. Maybe bricklaying, anything that has to do with energy, right? Maybe hype man or something like that.
Yeah.
But when it comes to creative strategy, when it comes to creative thinking, when it comes to hosting like you wanted to do, it's not a male or female thing. It's the ability to carry the audience along. So when you enter into that kind of situation, you lead with your value. That's what I've learned to do. I lead with my value. I lead with my expertise. And I think I've also learned emotional intelligence. So when I'm speaking to people, I look them in the eye. I shake you firmly. I look at you and I address you the way I want you to address me. So I look at you and I'm looking directly into your eyes. Whether you're a big man, whether you're popular, whatever it is that you are, whether you're a celebrity. So I look directly at you. So it's all part of learning social skills. So I look directly at you, I shake you firmly, and I ask you good questions. I ask you questions. I talk to you firmly, and I don't make it look like my gender is anything that's because I don't believe that the female gender is at any disadvantage.
Yeah.
Because all my life I've always been the outgoing person. I've always been what some people would term the alpha female. So I just move like that. The discussion of gender in relation to how you can deliver the job is not
It's not even a
in the
question
conversation.
because exactly. Okay, yeah, that was a good one. There's something that baffles me. Yeah, being a creative director, especially for the position that you handle, it means you constantly have to come up with ideas. You can't afford to run out of ideas.
Yes.
And I mean, this is creativity. How do you manage to always come up with something? I mean, you can't afford to come up with something dumb as well. How do you do it?
So I think one way to always have creative ideas is to have residual knowledge, in the sense that when I'm scrolling on social media, I'm gaining knowledge I might not use now, but it's like a bank. So you go on Pinterest, you scroll, you are gathering ideas, you are gathering knowledge, you are going on TikTok. When I go on TikTok, I see somebody explaining something. I just, not like I'm using it. If you are staying on social media, you're not just following blogs and people that drain you. You're following people that inspire you. You're following people that are doing great things outside of your immediate environment. People that are in your space that are doing big things.
And there's this thing that I know that you stand for.
Yeah.
That is originality. I want you to buttress it. Explain what you mean by, okay, you're getting knowledge from other people. How does that help your own originality? How did you form your own originality from it?
Okay, so there's nothing that is created that is not created from something. The only person that created out of nothing is God. So when the person wanted to create refrigerator wanted to create refrigerator, what did he do? He went, I think, ice skating. He went to play in ice. He went to do all of that. Then he saw fish that was in between ice, like in between snow. And he saw that when he took the fish home, the fish had maintained its freshness because of that temperature that it was in. So he got the idea from that scenario where the fish was in the ice and he maintained its freshness. He got that idea for refrigerator from there. So taking things from outside, taking ideas from outside. So that's where your creativity now comes in. You take ideas and then you bring it in and it mixes with your own sauce in that sense. It mixes with your own personality, it mixes with your own knowledge, it mixes with your own skill, it mixes with your own ability to generate ideas in that sense. So at the end of the day, creativity, if you think about the most creative person in the world, so maybe like Da Vinci, those kind of people, they created from something. Da Vinci saw birds flying in the air and was like, how do they fly? What's the mechanism that they used to fly? He designed what people would call the first helicopter. That was like 500 years ago. You know, so at the end of the day, all forms of creativity comes from something. But where you can now call yourself a creative is that you take ideas from places, but when you get the end product, people will not know.
That exactly. That's what makes you a creative.
Yes, that's what makes you a creative, and that's how you preserve your originality. You put your own stuff, and you put your own sauce in that sense on those many ideas. There's a book called Still Like an Artist. So you have to master how to gather ideas. Because think about the best thing. Think about the best thing that you can think about, the most creative thing that has ever happened to the world. The phone idea. How did it come about? The guy wanted to, his wife had ear issues. So he wanted to be able to talk to her. Then from there, he created an end-to-end form of communication that will connect directly to her ear. And from there, someone else saw that and developed it. So step by step, we have been developing phone step by step. But if Graham Bell did not develop the first telephone, we won't have iPhone. Because there are many iterations that we have gotten to get to this point. And even the future of phone, whatever it is, maybe you have holograms and all those things that come out of your phone, whatever it is, whatever the case may be, if one person did not do something first.
But I feel like where the problem is I've seen people, graphics designer, you are trying to recreate someone's design and at least try to tweak some things in it.
I think that's very lazy, and I think
I've seen a lot of things like that. You're seeing the exact layout that this person used, and that's exactly you are using. Where is your own creativity?
That's the thing. So I think there's also another way I make sure that my creativity stays original is that I know the mechanism in the sense that, okay, if I'm a graphic designer now, or when I want to design, right, I don't just look at the surface. I look at what am I trying to achieve with this design? What actually makes this design that I'm seeing that I so like, that I'm tempted to copy, what is making it call me? Why do so many people like this design? What's so special about it? And I'll look at it, okay, the person drew a line that is pointing to the top, or the person did this. Okay, so
I feel like another problem that creatives have is, it is one thing to know that you have your own idea, but it's another thing to believe in your own creativity. What do I mean by this? There are times where we see some really nice things that they might not be nice at the first instance. There are some brands that actually sell the names. So because your name is probably not big, it is not there yet, you don't believe in what you have been able to create. One person saw what you did and talked down on it. The whole world has not seen it. You just feel like, oh, maybe what I did actually doesn't make sense. And your morale probably just goes down and you're like, oh, this thing is not...
Come up with. At the same time, you should ensure that what you have come up with is actually sellable. Because at the end of the day, when God gave us talents, the talents were given for trading. You know, in that scripture about the master giving the servant talents, and he said, occupy till I come.
Yeah.
And in that transition is do business till I come. So when God gives you talents, he wants to ensure that your talent is actually something you can exchange value for.
Yeah.
It's actually something that can be a gift or can bless, in that sense, bless other people. So as much as people might not see, because of course I think Canva is worth like how much now, maybe $15 billion or something.
Yeah.
But I think it was rejected like 100 times. A whole Canva was rejected 100 times. The average person, Facebook, okay, I think Facebook had good reception, but Instagram, many of all these things, they didn't necessarily kick off at the first instance. But as much as you want to believe in yourself, it's very good to believe in yourself. Just also make sure that what you are creating is up to standard. Because when we first start creating, we might create in the raw form. You might, because
Exactly my point.
you're just bringing it out. You might create in the raw form. Believe in that stuff that you have done.
Believe in that one because it might not make sense at the beginning.
Yeah, it might not make sense at the beginning, but believe in it and constantly seek to develop yourself. Constantly seek. Imagine iPhone came out in, I think, 2007, and they were the biggest thing that happened in that year, probably, in terms of technology. Imagine iPhone still remained where they were in 2007, and they didn't get to the point they are now. They will have become stale. As much as they were the most fantastic thing that happened, you have to constantly develop, and you have to ensure that you are moving with the times, and your creativity and your product is relevant for what we are doing and where the world is going.
Yeah, and in most cases, a big idea is not formed perfect.
Yeah, no, it's not formed perfect.
You don't get the full picture. You don't get the exact picture.
You don't get the full picture
at the beginning. But you first have to believe in that.
Sometimes if you even
like
see
you
the
said,
full picture, you might even run away.
Exactly.
Because you don't know where it's going.
But then most people chicken out at the first instance. They say, oh, this doesn't make sense. Oh, someone told you, someone talked down on your idea, and straight up, you're embracing someone else's creativity. I don't want to even stand up. There's this graphic designer that I know. I don't know why graphic design is coming to my head a lot. Yeah, this person has a unique style. And ordinarily, when he started out, I saw his previous designs before he got to where he is presently. So ordinarily, those designs, I'm not going to say it's somebody's creativity, but then it wasn't it.
Yeah.
It was not, but then it just developed in his own line of creative thoughts.
Yeah.
His designs are unique. They are different from every other person's design. And now it works for big companies. I don't want to mention names, yeah?
So that's what I said. I think off camera, I was telling you about executing.
Yeah.
So no matter how prepared you think you are at the beginning, you cannot be as prepared as somebody that is just starting the first video. Maybe you started a YouTube channel, you have dropped your first video.
Yeah.
You cannot be the same as somebody that has done 1,000 videos actively, year on year, month on month. You are doing videos every month. You cannot be the same. You cannot be on the same level. So at the end of the day, you have to continue doing. It's in the doing that you become. In that sense.
Talking about becoming, I'm aware that you conveyed, should I use the word conveyed it, a program, an event for creatives, that is UC Cube.
Yes.
Do you want to tell us a little about UC Cube? What does vision mean to you in relation to UC Cube?
So I'm of a very strong opinion that creatives are going to be major teachers in that sense, or let me use the word disciples in the coming generation. And what I mean by that is that most people are online now. Most people have difficulty consuming materials in the raw sense, maybe like in books. You want to consume maybe a library of textbooks or something like that. So, and with the way technology is going, we currently have the phone, but technology is prone to get wider. It's most likely going to get wider. So we have the metaverse, we have the virtual reality. So it's creatives that are going to build all those things. The world is going to a place where most things are going to be online. Most things are going to be visual. Most things are going to be auditory. So most things are going to have your visual senses engaged. So creatives are going to be the ones doing that. Creatives are going to be at the forefront of that. So currently now, social media is training us on how to think, on how to be, what to like. You might not know that you are being trained subconsciously on what to like via social media, but you will see a hairstyle. You see it once you see it the first time. You might look at it and what kind of hairstyle is this one? Before you know it, one celebrity has done it, one influencer has done
And
it.
it's going to
You are
make
seeing
sense
it on
to
TikTok.
you.
It's beginning to make sense to you. You come outside, you see it on somebody's head. It's beginning to make sense to you.
There was this hairstyle that trended. I can't remember the name of that hairstyle now. The first time I saw it, I was like, what's this? Only for me to find out later that it was a celebrity that did it first. And then
Yeah.
everybody just started carrying
So
it.
now, that's to tell you that your life on social media or your mind is being trained. Social media is training you on what to like, on how to behave. So we have Gen Alpha, those born between 2010 and now. Those guys have been trained by social media all their lives. 2010, so iPad came. I think iPad came out in 2010. So you see that the average 5-year-old kid, the average 7-year-old kid, iPad is part of their.
It's part of their
I don't think
life.
did you have
No.
iPad growing up?
I never had a smartphone. I'm trying to remember.
Exactly. So now we are getting to a point where everything is technologically driven and it's creatives that are going to spearhead that. So I just had the idea that let's bring creatives together and let's train them on how to actually properly do this thing. That how can we save the world? Because now the world is governed by ideologies. Ideologies govern the world, the way you think. So we have cultural movements, we have people thinking, people borrowing identity, we have people that think that mental disorders are becoming more in trend. So we have people
Exactly.
claiming that they have ADHD, they have one sickness or the other, they have OCD, those kind of things. And these things are because of what social media is training you to think
Exactly.
about.
Cultivation
Way-
theory.
Yeah, the way social media is training you and the way social media is making you think about yourself. So I just call creatives together, especially the ones in Unilag. What can we do about this? How can we deliver the next generation? How can we ensure that the next generation of creatives and the next generation in general, we have the right tools to actually train them in the way they are supposed to go? So that was why I started Unilag Christian Creatives Conference. And it's a gathering of creatives and Christian creatives, especially around Unilag. Let's come together and let's talk. Let's learn. Let's get what we need to get to be able to actually deliver the next generation and the generations to come. So that was just the idea behind Unilag Christian Creatives Conference.
This generation, many of them didn't even meet the right way of life.
Yeah,
Because
actually.
the media has defined
Yes.
something else for them
Yes.
as the acceptable way of living. There are things that happen that when our parents, when their generations were like, is this really happening? They'll be ready and I was like, what's there? It's normal thing.
I think I saw somewhere that 13-year-olds, 10-year-olds, they want to have muscles like their TikTok influencers. I'm like, you don't even have the puberty to be able to develop
to be
muscles.
able to do that.
So what's your problem? So I think what you're saying is very true.
It is, yeah. So regarding UC Cube, how was it for you? How was
In
starting
what
it?
sense?
Like, were there any challenges, or was it just so easy, or just spontaneously you're starting and everything worked out?
So UC Cube, I got UC Cube when I just finished eating a bar at the cafeteria in my school. So when I was in school then. So-
Inspiration from a bar.
So I was just walking out and it just entered my head. And that's one thing about creativity too. Ideas can meet you anywhere. So that's why you must always have before I actively started using my notepad, I always had like a pen and a jotter. You must always be able to write because ideas can meet you anywhere.
Exactly.
Right? So I just finished eating and I was walking out of the cafeteria and I just had it in mind that we should have a conference for creatives around Unilag. So I had just become the kind of person in the sense that I already had the network, I had the capacity, in terms of how I developed myself, develop my skill, develop the people around me.
Yeah.
So when we started the conference, I think funding was one of the issues. So I just prayed and I just thought about it that, how can we get funding? So got letter. I got letter from the secretariat team in my fellowship then, and we got letters to people I felt could have the capacity to sponsor the event. If you have a program or anything you want to do, what you need, you have it. So just like in the beginning when God created Adam and Eve, God created them into abundance.
Yeah.
Such that when he created them, they didn't have to wait for the next time God was going to create fruit to be able to eat. The fruits were already created. The animals they needed were already created. Everything was already created. The water they needed was already created.
Provision.
They just exactly. So first of all, when you want to have any creative project, ask yourself, what is in my hand? Before you start looking out. When I was going to start my journal business, I used Canva. It was not even paid Canva. It was free Canva. And I designed journals and I sold about maybe 400 journals.
Wow.
The second set of journals that I did, I think I sold about 100 before I now stopped it. Or maybe 70 or so.
Now, why did you stop?
It was an instruction. I think I was leaving that phase. So I had to stop. But I designed them myself.
Yeah.
In fact, most of the media skill, I think, though I'm not a specialist in most media skills, but if the need arises that I should do video, I should take pictures, anything, I know, or I should design, I know how to do those things, at least to an extent. I developed them when I was in that phase where I didn't have enough. I had a business, but I couldn't afford to hire a photographer. I couldn't afford to hire a designer. I couldn't afford to hire a social media manager. So I learnt all these things by myself. And now I'm able to design. That's even where I learned creative strategy. That's where I learned how to do marketing. And that's what I currently do. So especially if you're going to be a creative strategist or a creative director, you have to, even if you're not specializing in the skill, you have to be able to, from their own point of view, be able to see what they are saying and know what they are doing, so that, and in the situation where maybe your designer disappoints or your designer is giving you stories, you can just take your gadget and just do what you have to do.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you very much, Derisola. Please can you just share your social media handle in case you want to follow her?
So you can find me on Twitter at the Derisola, THE Derisola. Yeah, everywhere actually at the Derisola. From where you find me, you'll find me in other places. Don't worry.
And she does a lot on Twitter. She didn't say that, but she does a lot on Twitter.
They usually drag me anyway.
Oh, all right. So thank you very much for today.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you very much, my viewers. It's been an amazing time in the studio today with Derisola Adenu, and I do hope that you go back to watch the other episodes. And I'm also going to say that just in case you have a photographer, a videographer, a content creator, and media personnel that I'd like to recommend that I bring on the show, please feel free to drop their names in the comment section, and please do well to share, like, subscribe. Thank you very much. Until next episode. Bye.